have a panel discussion lined up on the topic driving cultural transformation, the CHRO's role in shaping and measuring impact on business outcomes. And to discuss on this topic, we have with us our moderator, Miss Sonica, Aron, CEO, Marching Sheep. Everyone, as I've already introduced, Miss Sonica Aron is the founder and managing partner of Marching Sheep, one of India's most recognized HR consulting firms. Ms. Sonica has been recognized among Forbes India's top 10 women entrepreneurs 2020, most valued people by Forbes India 2021, and honored as inspirational leadership icon by Fortune India. Please welcome her with a big round of applause, everyone. All right, please keep applauding while I call upon the stage our panelists. Please welcome Nena Chakraborty, Group Head and VP, Human Resource, Rainbow Children's Hospital. A very big round of applause, everyone. Please welcome her on the stage. Please welcome our other panelists as well. IVS Ranganath, Head HR India, Shriram Bioseed Genatics, a division of DCM Shriram Limited. Mr. Venkatesh Palabatla, Vice President, Human Resources, Avineon, India. Big round of applause for him as well, everyone. Please keep applauding for all our panelists. Mr. Rahul Anandani Narayan, Director, People Business, Pegasystems. Mr. Sreeram Golconda, Vice President, HRBP Control as Datacenters Limited. Please applaud everyone. Vaishali Shahi, Director of Human Resources, Parl Hyatt. Big round of applause, everyone. Vinay Puppala, Director, Human Resources, Diebold, Nixdorf. Madhusudana Reddy, ACHRO, Dodla Dairy Limited. Please give a big round of applause for our moderator and panelists present on the stage, everyone.
Good afternoon once again, everyone. So, I know we are quite a handful.
Very much.
And once again, I think Trupesh and team has done a sazish. We are once again between their lunch.
Yes.
And so we will try and stick. तुमने 35 minutes कर दिया Trupesh? अच्छा. Okay. ठीक है. So, we have a very interesting topic at hand, culture. So, I was trying to think to make it simple for all of us. Let's de-jargonize culture. What is culture in very simple terms? So, the internet gave me a very simple explanation. It said it is the personality of an organization. And just like everything, I started thinking, if it is a personality of an organization, can personalities change overnight? What do you think, everyone? No, na? Personalities evolve. Correct? But still, what did you all observe in February, March? Somebody somewhere announced that DEI is a bad word, and overnight, a lot of company cultures changed 180 degrees. Then I started thinking, then ये culture है क्या? And I thought I will ask. So now please, a round of applause for all my panelists. They have come on this stage on great personal risk. Okay, so this is a question to all of you. We heard average age in the workforce is 28. 70% of the workforce today is zillennials and millennials. There's a lot of focus on well-being, which is a huge change. We also saw a presentation with then and now. There is technological advancement at a pace which has been never before. Multiple generations, multiple cultures. I think technology has blurred geographical boundaries. Teams are across multiple geographies, so tier 2, tier 3 towns, people are working across. Way of working, remote, hybrid, work from office. In all of this, what is that one culture that we all aspire for? So let me start with you, Nena, and time, so 1 minute each, if all of you can take.
I think this was one of the question 2 weeks back in one of our leadership outings. Someone asked, "How do you set the culture?" And the basic question, or that's the response to this is, your tone is your culture. The leaders the way you talk, the way you behave, culture is always top to bottom approach. I would say the key takeaway is how you set your tone, how you communicate, how you conversate, your body language, how you make the opposite person feel important sets the culture of your organization.
I think when it comes to culture, the word culture, for me, it is a synonym to experience for colleagues at work. What people feel, if they feel valued, they are heard, they are in a right culture, they feel that they should be there. Else they just leave. And if we as leaders are able to do that consciously, keeping our biases across, keeping our, I would say, not business objectives, personal objectives, but if we are able to deliver that experience to each and every colleague in an organization, we are able to get a culture.
Right. Wonderful.
Sonica, you have said personality is the buzzword for the culture. And Nena said tone. I would say heartbeat.
Wow.
Heartbeat of the organization defines the culture. It can make or break the organizations. So in the fast, in the rapid evolving context, culture is for me is dynamic and it is multifaceted concept. So it encompasses shared values, beliefs, norms, practices, how we interact, work, and make decisions in the organization. That's culture for me.
Lovely.
So for me, I think culture evolves. Absolutely. The duration of culture evolving is shortening as we speak. Earlier it used to be once in 10 years, once in 5 years. Now it's like every year, culture changes. To me, I would love to work for an organization which is high-performing culture, aggressive, high on innovation, running at the speed of 120 per hour. I can give a quote, if you have heard this, if you want to work for Tata, but invest in Reliance. That talks about the culture of an organization as well, right? So I think it's, as you rightly said, culture is, everyone can define the way they want to define. Now these two are great organizations, all of us have heard about it, but if you say people would, your mentors or your parents or your siblings, elders would say that work for Tata, but invest in Reliance. So yeah, I would leave with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, you still think work for Tata and...
I would work for Reliance.
Okay.
Thanks for the opportunity, especially during lunch hours, giving this kind of, quite challenging, interesting also. I would like to give a different kind of twist, taking a clue from you. What is the culture? Definitely it is true, okay, which we have been experiencing many decades together. Today is a different kind of arena. Technology is a culture, most important. And we have to live with the technology. We have to scale with the technology. Whatever process we define, talk about the technology, blending with the culture, doing something more, which is most important. I have experienced different kind of organizations, and every organization has its own culture. Some of the guys may come back and say, values so important. Some of the guys come back and say, philosophy is important, of course it is true. And my experience is, most of the things, since happen to be with the board members, leadership team, is entirely depending on leadership philosophy, where it's coming from, the thought process, what they think about that, what they would like to do about that. And it translated to the across the organization. And don't stop there. You said a very good point, in fact, culture showcasing across the walls, across the digital media, all fine. Somewhere blend with actions, systems, measure the extent of ROI also. Don't stop there. Culture, technology, process, systems, ROI, measure to the extent of business impact. When I give a couple of examples, I give it to you. I'll take it one more time, okay? I had an opportunity of working for the GMR Group, Hyderabad businesses. And as a company, a lot of values happen to be there. We showcase, we demonstrate also. One of the opportunities, learning. Learning, one of the culture happened to be there, part of our DNA is to be there. We said, learning has to give some outcome for tomorrow. What's the outcome for that, basically? Airport was a fast-growing business. Talent shortage was there. Having a learning objective in part of HR process, can you make ready-made talent for today and tomorrow? ROI for me, important. That makes sense. Intent is that no, any kind of value you put it, any kind of objective you put it, link into purpose and objective that makes very powerful. That's my thought.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For me, culture is a continuous progress. And how you navigate the experience and breaking the barriers across all levels. Today, people talk about culture, but we have to knock the door and go. Is it culture? The people say that openness. So that's what I believe, strongly believe, that culture means I act on. What is that I act on? I for integrity, A for agility, C for customer sensitivity, T for teamwork, O for openness, N for newness. By seeing all these things, I act on is a promise towards me, towards the organization.
Lovely. I like it. Can I steal it? Okay. Copyright.
Yeah. So just taking upon from the other leaders over here. So when it comes to culture and understanding the value system which is there in the organization, there are a lot of surveys which run. The moment we look at the results, there are surprising insights. All that we do is get into a boardroom, the leadership is called upon, marketing is involved. As Venkatesh rightly pointed upon, you put the hoardings, these are the value systems and all. But that isn't all about culture. It is about once you wake up in the morning, do you feel that, yes, I have to head towards work today? Or again, is it another day for me to go back and look at it? So why culture is very important? So if I have to correlate to the KPIs and performance, how we are doing, as an organization, we have a year-on-year growth of 40%. So like the way our friend Rahul has pointed out, he will invest in Reliance, but would like to work with Tata. So it's both in controllers here, while the growth is 40% over here. On the other fact, we had a KPI where we have introduced the long-term milestone awards. 15 years, people who have completed was almost like 27% of our workforce, right? So that talks about how they want to grow along with the organization. So there are a lot of other insights which I would like to share, maybe as the course of take place.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite, Sonica. And our take on culture is the character of an organization. It starts from there, and the various cues for the culture is like, we have our own thinking, beliefs, values, behavior, set of behaviors. Those are the prime drivers, how do we behave in an organization and how the outside world look at us as a, personality that, as you mentioned, personality that the company looks like. So it emanates from the purpose, initially from the purpose of the organization. If you look at our organization, our purpose is to enhance the human life through addressing nutritional needs of the human society. Similarly, if you look at my organization's vision, to be a world-class dairy company by providing high-quality products and services. So this is the broad framework which ties all the thinking and emotions and actions of the people, that within this framework, my actions should look like, for the outsider, that what they perceive as a personality of the organization. So it emanates from the purpose and the vision of the organization. Of course, values, while in your action, when you are in action as an employee, so you will display those values, like whatever, integrity, honesty, transparency. So it's go on, how do you display those values when you are dealing with your business affair? This is how we feel, the culture builds. And, it is not that, it emanates from the purpose of the organization and stops there. It also undergoes some refinements over a period of time, like whatever is happening technology-wise and whatever, the change in the thinking process, all that things. Thank you.
Thank you. So a common thread that I kind of pick across all the panelists is that number one, it is something which is felt because that is the way the organization interacts with its people, with its customers, clients, consumers, everyone, number one. Second thing that I understood was that it is flown or driven from the top. So it is purpose driven, values driven, converted into actions, and that is what gives the personality. And it has to be driven from the top. Something that I want, to understand, and this is for Shriram. Shriram, what are the key levers that the HR function and CHROs can pull to embed? Because see, values is it's an equally elusive term as purpose or culture. How can you embed the actionables that Madhusudan spoke about into day-to-day actions of employees across levels?
Okay. So here is something that I would like to talk about the organization where I'm working currently. So controllers, if you have seen, we have set apart a limitation which was there in the data center. So just in case if at all someone wants to host a server in the data center, it would normally give a timeline of 3 to 6 months based on the IT infrastructure that is available and all. We have defined the norms. The time taken to host it on a data center is the time exactly that we take to build a data center.
Okay.
Okay. So normally we have almost like 140 megawatt capacity in our Mumbai data center park right now. And this was built over last 17 years. And what we are building in the next 18 months is double the capacity. So that's the kind of efficiency which was brought in. And how this has happened is the DNA of the organization of taking as total ownership across levels. So when we say that, this runs right from the CEO of the organization to the GAT who just comes in. And what role as we play from CHRO standpoint, how do we translate the KPIs at
Correct.
each level? So have you ever heard of EBITDA being a KRA for a HR business partner? So we do drive that.
1 second, let me ask, how many HR BPs here have EBITDA in their KPIs? HR department has, CHRO has, but for HR BPs, let's say at a unit level, MTX has. Anybody else? Which company, sir?
I'm in the role of HR. I look after different services that I am having my counterpart who looks after facilities manager. So the EBITDA is our first KPI as HR.
Excellent. Thank you.
Great to know. I have female companions here.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not just for HR alone, but for every department who is contributing. You talk about finance, you talk about procurement, you talk about the service delivery team. So in each way, how they can contribute from their side of function. And besides that, another core value that we follow is customer success. So NPS of the customers is basically part of our KPIs and KRAs that we have to achieve. So how do we keep our employees happy is basically the KRA for us. So it's not just the external stakeholders, but the internal stakeholders will also become very important so that the business objectives are met. While we are taking care of the direction business is trying to head towards, it's equally important for us to take care of our employees as well.
So help me understand, Shriram, here that let's say for a lot of external facing functions, your customer would be an external customer. But for your internal facing customers, do they also have external customer satisfaction as a KPI?
So we have two things over here. There is one pretty unique practice that we have. We have a team called as Total Ownership Index. So this team comprises of almost 20 plus folks. So if the external customer facing folks have to be enabled that they go and perform well, there should be enough support that they receive from the internal stakeholders. So there is a ticket raising practice which happens, and whatever tickets are raised, the indenter will get a satisfaction survey. It could be within the first 1 week or 2 weeks, and there is a process enforcement team which basically goes back and looks at how the services are being delivered and are there any gaps which can be addressed and the inefficiencies can be tracked. So this way, both the internal stakeholders and the end objective of maintaining the satisfaction of an external stakeholder is taken care.
I hope you all are getting the what I'm trying to drive, right? So what I really wanted from Shriram was a clear example that how do we make these elusive terms very actionable? And thank you for sharing that very, very specific example. You know, we've been hearing a lot about technology, and honestly, technology is great because, you know, it really helps us become more efficient, more effective. We heard Tesseract just before this, something which would have taken us maybe a week at one time or 2 days at one time. Today we can make it in 3 minutes. But my question is that sometimes can it erode the human aspect of culture, the human connect of culture? And Venki, this is a question for you, sir, that how do we ensure that technology does not make us lose that side of our organizational culture?
It is true that, we have to excel with technology. We cannot live without technology. Like a previous show was there, LN interventions get through technology. By sitting in a boardroom, by sitting in anywhere, I can click the button, employee can go through that. We are in such a speed today, technology and culture, we are today inflection point today. As a leaders, we need to draw a line and find out what is next level is concerned. Am I right? And today important thing is that we are missing something called technology going such a way that we are missing something called tending to lead to disconnect, basically. People, emotions, feelings, happiness, we are missing a lot. How to bring that? We are trying to work out some mechanism today, one of my organization, okay? All of us do a lot of HRMS models, of course it is true. We use AI technology, chatbot also. By clicking a button, employee get the answer about that. It is true. Is that sufficient for us? May not be. Working one more model called, which is common to all of us today, performance appraisal system, which we are building today. Technology takes care. Communication goes to leaders, and discussion takes place between one-to-one employee and manager, and tick mark, PMS is done. HR guys look at the data and go to the board, take the approvals. Where is human touch here, basically? How do we ensure that there is human touch between the manager and employee when it comes to discussion point of view? Should we make it mandatory? Maybe. Necessary, of course it is true. So if it's not so mandatory, where do we bring the employee's human touch in the process of discussions? We go to the extent of taking the employee feedback also. Like a best example is in GMR Hyderabad Airport, maybe current organization, what we're doing is that whenever the employees do discuss the manager, we make it a point saying that take the employee feedback. Summary is that in the technology approach, end customer, end user, make it a point of the design in that. Make it a point of the process of journey. Like, while ago we've seen the L&D module, right? Maybe, can that understand the employee's feelings while undergoing the courses? How do you factor that? Could be $1 million question. We don't answer about that. But you must factor that. If you don't factor that, we are working with the machines only, which is not okay. And it's more important thing when you ask question, HRPP is having a EBITDA goal, am I right? How many of us do a goal related to technology and culture and ROI for us today? How to measure the impact about that? We must factor that. Let us say, I'll give one more example to you. I had an opportunity of working for the company called Ingersoll Rand. Not long time back, of course it is true. Patent was one of my objective, goal for me, KPI. Company should have a patent, sort of one of a goal for me. How do you connect the process and technology? Like, when you come back to call it values again, creativity, innovation, one of the value of organization, creativity, innovation. We do a lot of shows, right? To have a creativity, innovation, we do R&R activities, we do blah, blah, all those things. At the end of the day, it must connect it to my innovation, creativity, measure your patents to organization. Measure that. That makes sense. And don't miss that. In the process of journey, can we have employees' feelings, employees' empathy, emotions, and so on, the most important thing. Maybe a couple of tips could be there. We are living today high touch, high technology basically. Promote high technology with high touch with managers, most important thing. Promote that. We want to promote that. High tech with high technology, high touch also is most important thing.
Thank you so much. Because this brings me to my next question to Ranga, but before that I will share an example, and this is not mine. This was from the CHRO of Reliance. He once shared an example. He said that there were two colleagues sitting next to each other. There was one person who had his birthday, and the person sitting next to him had no clue or his manager had no clue. And then there comes a huge bouquet saying happy birthday because it was all automated. But the person did not know or remember to wish. So sometimes, this can happen. But Ranga, Venki just spoke about measure, impact. So the question is that if you can share an example, a specific example, where cultural transformation led to a measurable improvement in some tangible way, whether it was retention, performance, customer satisfaction, profitability.
Thank you, Sonica, for asking this question. I'm really excited to answer this with a clear example, with a clear milestone. I think, as you rightly mentioned, that culture cannot be transformed overnight. I'll give you one problem statement for you also. Over the past 3 years, I'm working with agri input company, and there is a growing need to become more agile and transformation in response to evolving the market dynamics, climatic uncertainties. I think this is a problem statement. So this triggered me one fine day when we were having a conversation with a business in one of the operation review meeting. The cultural shift towards agility, empowerment, and proactive talent development is a need. So it's a big statement. How do you collaborate all kinds of things, co-create? So then I brainstormed myself along with my team and other functional heads. To address this issue, I come with one, for me is very important, I'm really excited to share, the 4R2C strategy. 4R2C, I repeat again. What is this 4R? Very simple. The first R talking about the right employee connect. Employee connect, we do a lot of employee connect. But what is the right employee connect, you may ask. So the answer is that I did entire my HR team, I made them to HR relationship managers. I removed that so-called of HRBP. People are really bothered. People are really thinking about HRBP, what the HRBP, they do that. So that's why I said HR relationship manager. So he or she the spark for the entire zone, because we have 6 zones across the country. You are the spark for entire high to retire. You are the HR relationship manager. I bought this relationship manager from ICICI Bank, HDFC, because they always call high-end customers, sir, what support I want. I want to create that proactive support. He call employee, hey boss, how do I help you? 1 hour. The second are talking about right capability. Yes, we talk about learning, development, blah, blah, blah. So what is the right capability? The right capability, the role-specific capability building. How do you curate? Like the frontline manager, sales guy, the production guy, the quality. Those days are gone doing a mass training programs. Curate a training program, what impacts my life? How do I ensure that what is my ladder to build my career in the organization? So for that, what we did, we created programs in such a way. LDP, brand the program also. Don't leave it. LDP, what is that LDP? Leadership Development Program. ELDP, what is that ELDP? Emerging Leadership Development Program. ALDP, what is that ALDP? Advanced Leadership Training Program. And by all these programs do create emotional intelligence. End of the day, we are talking about how do we empathize on this learning stage. That is second R. What is my third R? Removal of distractions. Believe me, distractions will really face a lot of challenges for the sales folks who are working in a winter, summer, rainy seasons. Their claims will not process on time. HR is not responding on time. They need to follow up HR people for hiring purpose. They need to follow up their induction kit. Many things. Bloody 50% I'm following with HR folks or finance folks to create my suffer. How do I do my business? End of the day, my business will ask me, what is your target? I'm not able to achieve my target. So that if you remove these distractions, if you can able to pay the reimbursement on time, he don't call you, he don't remind you. That's the reason we made a one adjective, no reminders. Any function.
Sorry, no?
No reminders. Okay. No. Mail has to send, go to his cabin, hey boss, I sent a mail, please reply. I have to send a WhatsApp, hey boss, I sent a message to you yesterday, you're not replying to me, please reply. So how do I remind? So remove distractions. The fourth are talking about the right infrastructure. Yes, we are talking about the technology, so many things. But end of the day, the employee already joined. After 2 days, he never get his employee mail ID. He never get his laptop or desktop. He don't know whom to talk, what is my SAP ID. Hey boss, what is this? Where is the experience? You're talking about, you have to navigate the experience from the day one, delighted day one, awesome day one. Where is it awesome? Where is delight? If you remove this kind of infrastructure. The sales guy bloody remotely working because I'm working with Agri Input Company. He don't know who is HR head because only he'll meet me only at the time of interview. He only my HR folks. They will only exit, they'll meet my HR team. So how do we create that kind of relationship building? Create infrastructure. So these are 4 R's. What is my 2C? Out of 1C, the process control. Again, to remove distractions, to remove eliminations of entire 4R, the process control. Check your process, like HR audit, compliance process, production process, quality process. You do any kind of process, you have to do the process straight. That's 2C is talking about optimizing the cost. End of the boardroom, you will tell me, Ranga, bullshit, all this talking, tell me what's the ROI kind of thing. What is the kind of EBITDA doing? They're doing all employee engagement. What is that doing? People are leaving one side. And what is this here? So, optimizing the cost. Understand I think we're all, Sonica rightly mentioned, how many people understand personal cost? What is the personal cost in HR? Can anybody can tell? I'm very happy to hear that. What is the personal cost in terms of HR? Okay, think about it. You'll understand. So you need to understand what is the personal cost.
Thank you.
Now, by doing all these things, you also ask me impact also. What is the impact I created on the boardroom? By engaging all kind of thing, my engagement moved from 68% to 92% by Tower Watson. And attrition reduced from 24% to 12%, which is 100% reduction. And the productivity, end of the day, which is important, increased from 75 lakhs per employee revenue to 1.5 CR per employee revenue.
That deserves an applause.
Talk the data, show the impact, then you have a seat in the boardroom.
Is this copyright or they can steal it?
No, they can steal it. Of course, this is my thing. They can pay loyalty also, 4R2C. Okay? Thank you. I really, guys, I think this way we create impact. I got the seat in a boardroom. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think that was brilliant, everyone, and clear takeaway. And this brings me to this question. There are so many questions. Okay, so the question really was, I think, for Vaishali. Yes. So, when Ranga was talking about, there was a lot, these 4 R's that he's put in, removal of distractions, running infrastructure, and I'm sure everybody would resonate that these problems we all have. Anybody who's been in HR operations role, we would have seen these. But how do we bring in the voice of the employees, especially for organizations that are so large, so geographically, they might be disseminated? How do we bring the voice of the employee on the table? And secondly, how do we prioritize? What are the considerations?
Thank you, Sonica, for the question, and I must thank you for the insight. I'm sorry, I don't know the name. But answering the question, I think for any kind of feedback, to make it as a part of a strategy or make it as an outcome for a business, it's very important that whichever way we take the feedback from a colleague has to be an open and clear communication. They must be given a platform, necessarily not to be a AI-driven, not to be a PowerPoint, and not to be a survey. It has to be the way he or she wants to give a feedback. It might work for a group. It might work through a regular feedback, regular pulse check in a department. For hotels, I would say we meet the departments, we have departmental briefings, but when you have setup of big inventory, we have a lot of people, usually we are dependent on the softwares. Correct. But what happens, we still have supervisors, we still have people who can make a difference to hear the feedback realistically. And I would say that's 20% of the entire job, once you hear the feedback. The 80%, to make it a part of your board meeting, it will only happen if you do something about the feedback. And then you go back to an employee saying, this is the feedback, and this is what we are going to do about it. And probably you can also deny at some time that this is not possible. But be honest and have that gut to go and say to employee that this cannot be done right now, may be possible in future, but do something about it. I think if we do that, what it brings, A, that they become more confident about the employer. Secondly, it drives accountability on the employee itself, that if they are the change makers, again, coming back to the culture, they become the part of the culture that way.
Absolutely.
And then it becomes a continuous process of improvement. They feel that they are heard, they're listened, and they are valued at work.
Yeah.
That's how I feel that if we have to make it a point that the feedback which is given by a colleague has to be brought to a boardroom meeting, we have to we have to take the feedback right and do something right about it. And again, once we get the feedback, we prioritize it with data. I second that thought, for sure. We have to prioritize with data. There is no boardroom meeting which can happen without data.
I totally agree. You know, we at Marching Sheep say that an organization is experienced by employees through their supervisors, their managers, and their leaders. So what she said about that 20% role of a manager is to listen to their people and to take it up.
I'll give you an honest example. Sorry, I'm taking one more extra minute. Like in our hotel when I had joined Park Hyatt, so we usually work in shifts. We have our regular coffees. I and my general manager meet different teams throughout the month. We did it in the first 6 months of the tenure of the hotel. What I realized is there's something still missing that I'm not able to get.
Yeah.
And what I found out is there are night shifts, and they're not being heard. And you know, we started an initiative called Power Play, where both of us were coming at around 6 o'clock, and I will have just quick breakfast with them. And trust me, that was like, you know, a feather in the cap, I would call it, that our employee survey scores like went up by 10% only for that department because of it. So it is like, it's just that you're ticking the right box.
And that's such a powerful anecdote, you know, small things matter. Small things matter. Thank you so much. A question for you, Rahul. What can be, you know, because Vaishali spoke about that, you know, something was not working. So what can be some warning signs that indicate that something's not right, something's not aligned? You know, we spoke about cultures evolving. So how do we keep a pulse of that yes, we need to evolve. Jo chal raha tha pehle ab nahi chalega.
Thank you. I think that's an interesting one. So I'll give two aspects to it. One as an HR professional and one as an employee. As an HR professional, you have access to a lot of data, which actually tells you, like we spoke about, that culture is evolving, and it happens very frequently. So what are the key drivers? How is your leadership reacting? Are there any leadership transitions? When I mean transitions, how are people moving from one department to other department? Or are there any exits at leadership? So basically leadership transition. Second is what your employees are telling, whether it is employee feedback, coffee cooler conversations, beer conversations, don't know what it is, but what our employees are saying. Third, what your clients are talking about you. And fourth, I think, what is the financial impact? What is your financials are saying quarter on quarter? Because I'm a strong believer that whatever happens, it reflects on your financial statements. And if you're a listed organization, just see how your share is doing. It tells you if something is right, wrong, because I think end of the day, people make money. End of the day, you have to impress board, stakeholders, shareholders. That's important. That's more from an HR perspective. But from an employee perspective, what we typically do is we try and understand again how decisions have been taken. Earlier, how decisions were being taken, how decisions have been taken now. What is changing? For an example, let's say if you were a mediocre organization and now you're getting into a high performance organization, wherein your manager is coming and telling you, well, the expectation is to do A plus B, not only A. So that talks about there is something changing. Good or bad, you have to decide as an individual. Now, as I said, Tata and Reliance, you decide whether you want to be with Tata or Reliance, as an example, right? So we are a pure play tech organization, an AI organization. So like, we saw how our learning and development solutions have been designed. You can actually design any application for you. We're a CRM organization. Let's say if you want to design an application, how to conduct this particular session, what questions should be asked, whom should be asked, who should get triggered, which is the audience, and so on and so forth. You can do it in a span of 5 minutes. So if my organization, if my employees are not looking that as a place they want to be to, then this may not be the organization you may want to be.
Right.
AI is important to us. We are a tech organization. If you are working in a tech organization, you have to change very frequently, unlike most of the other organizations. But if that's not something there, then it is a decision which you have to make. So I think it's more like prediction. Sometimes you go wrong, sometimes you hit the right button. So I think that is more important as individuals, how we kind of assess how leadership is reacting. Are there any leadership exits? Is innovation happening or no? Are we coming up with new products or no? Is our financials talking what we are saying? So I think these are few key drivers or key, hints that where the organization is heading. Not always the organization is heading towards the bad side. It could be at the positive side as well. You get a senior CXO from your competition or from an aspiring organization that talks that, okay, the organization is getting towards the right rather than left.
Yeah.
So a few points. I'm sure that it will help.
Yeah. So hang on, I still have some probing questions. I know the time is up. I know you're all hungry, but please hang on for about 5 to 10 minutes because you can see that the panel is large and the topic is very important. Do you all agree? Yes. Good. So, Rahul, irrespective of industry, what can HR do if you are hearing statements from the leader like, I don't care what the people feel, but I want everybody coming back to office. HR goes and says, Jagah nahi hai, we never planned for everybody to to work from office. Zameen pe baith ke kaam kar lenge. That is the CEO saying, number one. Second, these kids, what do they know? Jitna unki age hai, utta to mera experience hai. Now, how is HR supposed to handle leadership and culture change when this is flowing from the top?
Yeah. So I'll take the first one. So if the organization has decided that everyone should come to office, I'm assuming that the HR was involved in the decision making. If it is not, then you're only an executor. Okay? So if you were involved in the decision making and if it is about engagement, so be it. You create more space. You cannot have a different version of your leadership because HR is also part of leadership. So if my CEO is telling that I want everyone in office, I should also be saying I need everyone in office. I should have my managers also saying that I need everyone in office. And you define what is the purpose. If the purpose is engagement, and I got this, how do you define engagement? It is only work. So people are at home and doing work. So the counter to it is, if you're engaged, be engaged in office. If you're not engaged, be disengaged in office. You need not need a home to be disengaged, as an example. So that's one, which is more in terms of getting people back. So I lost your second question.
So my second question was about generational diversity, not willing to give empowerment or the disconnect between Gen X and Gen Z.
So the change should happen at the leadership, at the previous generations, because today's generation, as all of us would have seen, that the average tenure an individual spends in an organization is reducing quarter by quarter. So it's important for us to let them know that this is the organization wherein you can come yourself as is how you want to be. And if the leadership is reluctant to change, then it's going to impact the organization in the long run. What's going to happen is your average tenure is going to reduce quarter on quarter. It will become from 3 to 2.8, from 2.8 to 2.5. It's only going to impact. Now, as a leadership, you decide that, can I take that hit or no? Their organization would say, this is how we want to operate. And you'll find people. We are very dynamic as a country. We are very dynamic as an industry. You'll find people who want to work for money. You will find people who want to work for work-life fit. You'll find people who want to work for purpose-driven. It varies, right? So there are people who, for an example, retirement age. I think the current generation or the younger generation, I don't think so they want to work for 50 also. They would want early retirement. So
financial independence.
So they would want to spend their first 6 years working for an organization which will give them enough money.
Yeah.
forget about culture as an example. Then they may shift after 5 years about culture, wherein I need work-life fit. Like we have designed our benefits in such a way, if I am a single college pass out, I don't need insurance for my spouse, I don't need children's insurance. So I will give them a wellness plan wherein they can book tickets or something of that sort. Wherein I as an individual, I have a wife, I have a kid, so my benefits plans are customized accordingly. So that's how I think organizations will have to customize. Otherwise, you'll have people who will come for, if your purpose is only driving money, do that. If your purpose is to have a work-life fit for a longer duration, do that. So yeah, Reliance and Tata.
So thank you for being a sport. This was unscripted. Which brings me to you, Nena. With so much change happening, CHRO, leadership, they have to be at the helm of evolving culture without pain. But pain to hota hai. So how do we drive this evolution in letter and spirit with minimal pain?
Okay, so before that, I think I want to touch upon the DEI aspect that you mentioned in the previous, discussion that you have done. You mentioned that healthcare as an organization. I represent healthcare organization. I have almost 70% of my workforce is female, right?
An average is 66%.
Right, and so of course nurses are the key, so they are the highest female that we have in the system. But when I joined the organization, I realized in one of the board meeting that I am the only female sitting in the round table, and it was very difficult to digest. However, in the last 1.5 years, we have made a progress. Currently, my leadership team, which we sit across at the board, is about 30%, 29 precisely. So we are almost touching there at 33, hopefully. That is one. So, but from a pain factor, if you say, we recently have implemented a new HRMS system, right? And before we implemented that, it was very difficult to take leadership buying, right? Because people were adapted to something, the system which was running old, and they didn't want any change. So how do you drive that? I think there was a lot of enforcement that has happened from me, my team, and thoughtfully done the entire plan of execution. So we took almost 8-9 months to, equally to plan a baby like that. But yes, that long time to ensure that the entire execution works in flow. Buying the leadership at the CXO level, having their buying on execution of this strategy, and also implementing the entire employee experience, right? Which is, again, going back to the scratch, that we want to start from where we were, doing roundtables with the meetings, telling them that this is what will be the future of the HR, everything get automated. Yes.
How did you overcome the resistance?
Resistance, again, multiple discussions, multiple one-on-one conversations, group discussions, showcasing the data, what has been the current process, what is the futuristic process looking like, right? If you do not go with data, then definitely that resistance will be more stronger.
And what was the data proving?
Data was definitely proving that, if you implement this is definitely outcome is employee experience, and also enhancement of technology and data-driven analysis. Now, how did I prove that right now? Because we have implemented 6 months of the digitization. We also run a survey for our employees saying, how did you find the entire tool that we implemented? And positive is about 83% of employees said they have found it very, very good in terms of navigating the portal, understanding the employee well-being aspect on that portal, because the portal is a holistic one, starts from the recruitment till the exit, including the learning platform. That itself was a resistance, because the organization I come from, nurses are someone who have to clinically keep updating themselves every time.
Yeah.
That learning platform helped me to showcase how much they are, and that gets tracked, because as a part of your
CMEs.
Yes, all of that, not just CMEs, but even if I have a nurse, for example, if she is catering to a pediatric child who is, say, a heart transplant. So I need to have that specialty. I cannot put any nurse into that specialty to assist the patient. So how do you get your employees skilled time and again and update them? So the LMS platform has helped us to kind of build that entire structure together and executing. Like I said, 92-93% of our employees felt that they were trained on the HRMS tool before the implementation. So that itself showcased that how strong the team has gone through in the entire implementation process. Plus, not just the organization, but I think belief in the HR team also is very important. So my team believed that this change will bring in very positive impact to the organization and to their work style, what they do and deliver day to day. I think with all of this, we were being very successful. Currently, my organization is going through a couple of merger and acquisitions. Sorry, I'm just taking a bit more, but that is another cultural change that we are trying to bring in, right? Because right now, it's not just about, we are based out of Hyderabad because that's the headquarters, but we are spread pan-India. And we are now expanding in Northeast. So we are acquiring a hospital in Guwahati. And that is a different cultured city altogether, right? So when we went there and people were like, okay, are you coming? You're going to throw us out, all that. So how do you set that clear expectations that, boss, we are coming, we want you to work because we cannot get the workforce from anywhere outside. Our technology and tools and systems will only help you to enhance your performance, the day-to-day performance and service to the patients. So that is where we are right now. It is still work in progress. Hopefully, we will be going live with, with this center by next month. Capability building is something very, very important. Trying to balance the change management, the agility among the employees and the HR team, the team which is going there, upskilling the current workforce, and the culture fitment, saying that what is Rainbow? We are listed company, and last April we have been certified with Great Place to Work with a culture score of 90. That was consistent in the last 5 years. That's the top score that we have achieved. So obviously employees have felt some benefit, some motivation, some belongingness in the system for which they have rated so-and-so score. So yeah, that's more or less. Yeah.
That's lovely, because the 3 key takeaways that I am getting is transparency, clearly articulating what's in it for me, for everyone. If everyone undergoing the change gets an answer to what's in it for me, how will I benefit, then why would they resist it? And the last one is to build capability and confidence. Lovely. Vinay, yours is the toughest and the last question, so please wait. Madhusudan, you had mentioned a little bit about actionables in the first question, but if you would like to elaborate on that a little bit, please go ahead. That how do you translate cultural deliverables or driving of culture into clear KPIs and actionables? Please go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Sonica, for that question. See, primarily, I take the disclaimer that we are not measuring the behaviors. So since you said, what was the impact? So would like to give the background of a dairy organization. It majorly depends on the climatic conditions and weather. So a lot of uncertainty will be there. During the flush season, when you get a lot of milk, and you end up, there is a less demand. And during the summer season where your demand goes up, the vice versa. So you end up having less quantity of supplies. So to handle this uncertainty and the kind of agility, since this is a operational intensified industry, so we require certain mindsets, some behaviors, some kinds of behavioral aspects which are very much necessary. So we have conducted a study of the existing teams who are successful for over decades of, since ours is a 27-year-old organization, many people are more than a decade of experience. So we have conducted a study of the people who are being successful in their respective roles in various levels. and they were very good contributors for the growth of the organization. So we found that certain behavioral aspects and mindsets that are really contributing for the growth and development, and also keep them as distinguished from others. So some of them, just for the audience purpose, I'll share here. Like some of them is like ownership attitude.
Yeah.
So ownership per se, for example, if there is a dealer and distributor, my frontline guy who is a sales executive goes there and put across my products and details of the company. And over a period of time, because of the relationship, there will be some outstanding from the dealer or distributor. That time the person is not only just going and putting across the products, but also responsible to collect the money back. The kind of vehemently how he fights for getting the money back is the kind of internal drive what we have created, that he is only responsible for generating order and forgetting is not there. Just he's also taking the onus of getting back the money, the tub, all that stuff, beyond his scope of work is also working. Similarly, if you look at a chilling center, chilling centers, we have over 200 chilling centers across various parts of the India. So this chilling center manager is supposed to be of 10th class or +2 kind of qualified person who is responsible for the operation of the chilling center, where about 30 to 40 kind of HP, ice bank tank, so much of infrastructure is there. Between 15 to 20 employees are deployed there. He has to oversee them. He has to manage the people. He has to manage the operation. He has to manage the logistics, how the vehicle comes, goes, and all. He is held responsible. So how do we? He is taking that responsibility and ownership as if he is the owner of that chilling center, and giving that. Responsible. Taking responsibility is that ownership attitude. That is one of the key contribution we identified, behavior we identified. And also, secondly, the collaborative approach. Since the company is collecting milk, processing, distributing the milk across various parts of the country. So the person working in the milk collection has to be working in tandem with the operations guy, so that whatever he has sent has reached within the timeline or not, whether in the same farm, the quantity of fat and SNF. Yes. So everything he has to see, and all of this procurement, quality, production, they all should work in tandem, and that collaborative approach is one of the critical success factors. We have taken all these critical success factors and put them in the success factors solution, and not measuring, but we are asking to share one example that they have displayed ownership attitude or collaborative mindset. Whatever he did in the entire review period, he has to put it across, so that we start capturing what are those real contributions towards the not only hardcore carriers, but also the attitudinal issues we started capturing. And also lastly, we have created a pledge, like our national anthem or our pledge, like Indian pledge, Dodla pledge we have created. And we make it as a mandatory thing, whoever joins the company right from the induction, they have to undergo this pledge, and they have to speak without looking at the paper. They have to tell it.
Lovely.
Otherwise, they will not be confirmed. Yeah. So we made it as a mandatory thing, and we enforced.
I've seen that in L&T also. There's a beautiful anthem L&T has.
Okay.
So from your first question, I remember that there is a purpose of women nutrition, I think, and then milk.
Enhancement
and then all of these behaviors make it so tangible.
Correct.
Right? Lovely. And now for the final question. Okay? Please don't shoot the messenger. Okay? But there was a recent report, okay, in which it was published, and I quote, "Only half of the CEOs view their HR teams as a strategic partner at work, which reveals a credibility gap over the HR function. What can CHROs do to be acknowledged as strategic drivers of culture and business?" So, you have the big responsibility of of compiling everything and wrapping up the panel discussion.
Sure. I will go with the classic example of what we are doing right now. As we speak, we are doing that. And you said that CEOs don't have that much confidence in CHROs to drive the cultural change. So what we are doing is, I've been with this company for 16 years. This is my 17th year. I have seen 2 times the values have been redefined. Values and behaviors drive the culture of the organization. Now, this is the 3rd time we are again reassessing, redefining, and we are in the process of changing the values. So never in the past, it's been 16 years, never in the past, I have seen that, when the values are being defined, they have never come to the, to the larger people, to the larger organization. Most of the values happens at the board level, at the top leadership, at C-suite level. For the very first time, this time, based on HR feedback, based on CHRO feedback, now while defining the values, we have now sent a survey to all the employees in the organization to take the feedback. Now, even as an employee myself, I got an opportunity to express myself, how the values should be there for the organization, which was never given an opportunity before. So with the CHRO's influence, now to define the values of the organization, the leadership is looking at the feedback coming from all the employees. Now I'm curious how the feedback will be taken at the top leadership and how those feedback will be considered while defining the values. So that's the role the HR leader can play and try to influence, try to bring the value, try to enable the organization and leadership to enhance the productivity to achieve the strategic priorities of the organization. So that's one example. If you allow me to give another example, I have other one.
They will kill me if I give you more time. But yes, thank you very much. I also remember when Shriram was speaking, and you had mentioned something, Shriram, which was very similar. If you could just add to his point.
So just talking about the same thing. When it comes to, it's a very simple saying that goes, right? He was talking about the values and all getting redefined a couple of times in the last span of 15 years and all that. It's a saying which goes, culture eats strategy for its breakfast, right? So you might redefine your strategy multiple times, but if you see that the culture is just defined in the boardroom and it is not the reality on the floor, it is right from, it's not just like definition of top-down approach, but how an L0 feels, how is he getting treated, right? As Rahul has also rightly pointed out. Any decision making which happens, it's not, okay, CEO just woke up today from left side of his bed and he said, yes, all the employees have to come in and work from office. Is it really possible? Is it necessary? What is the impact going to be? Is it going to enhance my productivity, or the way it is currently is already enhancing my OPEX? Right? Do I really have to invest again to bring in these things?
Yeah.
So it's both ways. When you are going to define this, it has to be a bottom-up approach and also a top-down. Only that inclusion can form your culture.
Yeah. And I do remember you also saying that, how many HR VPs have EBITDA in there. So that too is a capability that I feel that needs to be built. I see across the panel that everyone said it is about how the organization is felt. Madhusudan spoke about converting it into actionables. So I think we have a fairly good set of examples, anecdotes from every organization. And I am ready to wrap up if all of you are.
I just want to add one closing remark. Cultural change is not a cakewalk. It's absolutely complex, and the top leadership has to walk the talk, and people will look up to the leadership.
Yeah.
And any small gesture plays very, very important role in the organization, in defining the culture.
Absolutely.
That's my take.
Super. Thank you everyone for being very patient with us.
Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
discussion. I would like to request all of you to please stay as we would like to felicitate you, ma'am, Sonica ma'am. I request you to please felicitate our panelists. Yes, everyone, please applaud for our panelist, Nena Chakraborty. Big round of applause, everyone. Next, Mr. Ivy is Ranganath. Mr. Venkatesh Palabatla. Mr. Rahul Anandani Narayan. Mr. Sreeram Golconda. Vaishali Shahi. Mr. Vinay Puppala. And Mr. Madhusudhana Reddy. I request all of you to please pose for a group picture together, everyone. Yes, a group picture.